So good morning. So welcome back to my videos on introduction to cybersecurity. So today we'll see regarding the password cracking and keyloggers, right? So what is meant by password cracking? So password is like a key to get an entry into compromised systems. So whenever we have any system that is storing some important information or personal information, so to protect that, we'll be keeping some entry key, which we call it as a password. So password cracking is a process of recovering the password from the data that have been stored in or transmitted by the computer system. So this process of password cracking can be done either in a normal way or in order to attack some system. So in an authorized manner, if the password cracking is to be done, it will be done by the ethical hacker in a manner of or in order to recover a forgotten password, or as a preventive measure by the system administrator to check for easily crackable passwords. So in an unauthorized means, the attacker will gain unauthorized access to the system by using this password cracking technique. So we can take it in two modes. One is an authorized way, in another one is in unauthorized manner. So in an authorized manner, the ethical hacker will use it to recover the forgotten passwords. In an unauthorized manner, the other hackers like a black hat or some attackers may use this password cracking technique to gain some unauthorized access to a system and then get an information from that system and misuse that information, right? So manual password cracking is an attempt to log on with the different types of the passwords. When we go with the password cracking technique, so maybe it will be done in two ways, using some manual technique, and another one is using some tools. So in a manual password cracking, where the attacker will use a different set of the passwords in trial manner, and then he will be using those different set of the trials with the different combinations of the letters or the digits or some special characters. By giving the different combinations, he will trace the password, and then he will get that right password of the system, and he will gain access to the system. So whenever the manual procedure is being followed by an attacker, he will be following these 5 steps. First, the attacker will find a valid user account, such as an administrator or a guest, from whose system he can gain the maximum amount of information. That system will become as a prey for this particular attacker. And then after tracing that particular system, which is having the more amount of the information, he will create a list of passwords based upon that system. If at all he is known the administrator or the name of that particular person the system is using, he will go with the different combinations of the names, like the first name last name combination. If he is much closer to the administrator, he will go with the combination of the first name, his date of birth, or his last name with the date of birth. Or if he is much closer, he may even come to know about some important persons in his life, or some other any lucky number of that particular person. All that information can be known by an attacker by being friendly with the administrator or the guest of whose system he want to attack. And then he will create a list of all the possible passwords, the different combinations that are that he might think of an administrator or the guest. He will create a list of all those passwords. After creating all the list of the possible passwords, he will rank the passwords from high to the low probability. That means he will just prioritize what are all the different passwords he have written so far, and based upon the priority, he will just use try one password at a time to the system, and based upon this tried manner, whatever the password which he get entry into that password, he will be taking it as a highest priority. and he will be using each and every password into that particular system until the right password is being traced by the attacker. So the fourth step is what that is. So he will be using each and every password, entering into each and every password that he has been listed so far, based upon the priority onto the system which he want to attack, and then he will try again until the successful password is found. So the process of this continues so on until the right password of the particular system is being traced by the attacker. So this is a manual way of password cracking. So he first goes to a specific system from which he want to take the much of the information, and he will be writing up different combinations of the passwords and prioritize them. And then what he do after prioritizing, based upon the priority, he will be giving each and every password onto the system until he will just enter into that particular system and he will gain access to the information in that system. The process will continues, right? Even though it takes much of the time, but the aim of the attacker is to will be mainly for gathering the information from the user, right? So passwords can be guessed sometimes with the knowledge of the user's personal information. So these are the different combinations of the passwords. Mostly the attacker will come whenever he lists out the different types of the passwords. The first, he will be thinking whether the victim has been kept any password or not. So he might be keeping some none or the blank. That means he may not even keep any password. That may be one of the possibility, an attacker can get easy access to the system. And the another one is the words like the victim might keep the words like the password or the passcode or some username same as it is to the system, right? These combinations might be checked by the attacker. And next he will go with the series of the letters from the keyboard, like what are all the sequence of the keys that are available on the keyboard. Those sequences might be checked by the attacker, like the QWERTY or some ASDF or QWERTY UIOP. So these are the sequence of the keys available in the keyboard. So those keys might be kept as the password. So this is one of the checking that will be done by the attacker. And then if this is also fails, then he goes with the username or the login name. So whatever the username that has been given, he will go write the same username and the password for the as a password. So he will use the same login name as a password to that particular system. And the another thing is like he may even check with the name of the user's friend or the relative or the pet. And next he may even go with the user's birthplace or the date of birth or some relatives or the friend's date of birth or some birthplace. So he will check across it, or else he may even check with the vehicle number of the victim or the office number, some residence number or some mobile number. Any combinations he will check. And then if it also fails, then he may go with the name of the celebrity who is considered to be an idol by the user. That means the famous celebrity, so or interested celebrity of the victim, that might be kept as a password. So that can also be checked by the attacker. And the next one is a simple modification of one of the preceding, such as suffixing a digit, particularly 1, or reversing the order of the letters of the username. All these set of the combinations, these are some of the combinations that will be checked by an attacker in order to trace the user's password. So when we go with the password cracking, as I already mentioned, it may be done manually or using the computer or the tools, it might be done. So based upon that, we can divide it as an online attack as well as an offline attacker. So in online attack, attacker can create a script file which is nothing but an automated program that will be executed to try each and every password in the list. When matches, an attacker can gain the access to the system. So we'll just write a program that will be run again and again on the different set of the passwords to trace, to predict the correct password of the system. The most popular online attack is man in the middle attack, where the attacker will be in the middle of the sender and the receiver, and the data transmitted from the sender and the receiver will be modified by the attacker in the middle, or will be altered by the attacker in the middle, or he may even take the data that is being sent by the sender, and he may store the data in some place, and he may send some nonsense data to the receiver. So that might happen in the man in the middle attack. So here the main thing is, when the data is being transmitted from the sender to the receiver, along with the data there might be some communication regarding the key or some secret key for the data which is being encrypted. So that key can be known by an attacker using this man in the middle attacker. And the next one is an offline attack. Here mostly offline attacks are performed from the location other than the target. So here the victim will be in one place and the attacker will be in some remote place, where the attacker will be performing this offline attack by observing the activities performed by the victim either on the system or manually on some other devices. So each and every daily activity of the victim will be traced, will be observed, will be spied by the attacker, and based upon that information he will be using that information for tracing out the passwords that might be used when he want to gain some unauthorized access to the systems of the victim. So the passwords where there might be some possibilities of where the passwords might be stored by an attack by the victim, right? In some places, like in the physical places, in some paper they might have written the passwords, or in some documents, or in some cupboards, wherever they want they can even keep the passwords written format. So that will be checked by an attacker. He will just go through the different areas where the victim has been gone, and then he traces out the different possibilities of getting the password. So this is an offline attack. So based upon the victim's mobility, so if he is a mainly movable person, like he just moves on from one place to another place, then the attacker will mainly use this offline attack. If the victim is a well-known person to him, and if at all he is been on the system all the time, then in such case the attacker will go with the online attacker. So how to keep the strong, there are different types of the passwords based upon the length of the password, based upon the combinations of the characters we use in the password. We can segregate them into strong, weak, and the random passwords. Right. So weak password is a one which could be easily guessed, short, common, and a system default password that could be easily found by executing some brute force attack and by using some subset of all the possible passwords. So here the attacker, what he do is he just guesses this particular set of the weak passwords using some brute force, where he goes on trying trail method. So he just goes trying each and every particular password and different combinations of the passwords he will generate using this brute force attack, and through which he can get the right password, and then he will use that password for having an unauthorized access to the system. So here are some of the simple examples of the weak passwords, like Susan, which is a common personal name. So like a username which we keep, the same username might be kept as a password. This is one of the weak password. So we should not keep all these set of the passwords. The weak passwords are not entertained to be kept by the victim. So these or the different combinations of the weak passwords. Some of the examples which I have mentioned here. Susan, which is like a personal name, is a person's name, and AAA, like a repeated letters, can be easily guessed, and some rover, which is a common name for a pet, or some which is also a dictionary word that we should not keep actually, and some ABC 1 to 3 is like the combination of the first 3 letters and the first 3 digits, the combination, which can be easily guessed, that should not be kept. And admin, which is like the username, password, and admin is a common name that can be known by every person who uses a system, right? So that should not be kept. And another one is like a series of the numbers which we have, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, that can be easily guessed by an attacker. And some the keywords, keyboard letters, the what are all the keys that are in a sequence might be kept as which can be easily guessed by an attacker. And possibly the date or the personal importance, or some date of birth, or some person joining date, or some other important date relating to that particular person might be kept, so which can be easily guessed. And some username with the combination of the first 3 letters or first 3 digits, or some like lucky number of that particular person might be suffixed with that particular username might be kept, so that is can also be easily guessed. And the another one is like instead of writing the password as it is, we can mention like P as same as it is, and for the A we can mention @ and for the S dollar symbol, and for W 2 V's, and for the O 0. This is one of the thing that can be easily guessed by the attacker. So these simple substitutions are programmed into password cracking tools by which the attacker can easily guess. And the password, like some people will be just for the remembering purpose, they will be keeping the password, the word password will be kept as a password, so that can also be easily guessed. And some will keep like the date of birth, or some month name, and some month number, so that can also be easily guessed. So these are some of the examples of the weak passwords, and these are the examples of the strong passwords. So here where you are keeping the password, strong password, just try to keep it as long as possible and try to remember it. And if possible, instead of using the usernames or date of birth, or some pet names, or some relative names, or the month of your birth, or some easily guessable, just to keep some phrases that can be very strong and that cannot be easily guessed by an attacker. Alright, the strong passwords are like this is a simple example, like convert some symbol we have used, and some 100 to the euros, which is like a phrase. So such phrases are long and memorable and can contain an extended symbol to increase the strength of the password. So you can keep like this. And some number with the capital H, it's a mix of the numbers and a letter at the end. So usually used as a mass user accounts, and such passwords can be generated randomly. So it's next third one is it's not a dictionary word. So however, it has cases of alpha along with the numerical and punctuation characters, which can be difficult for an attacker to guess easily. And the next fourth one, it's long with both the alphabets and the numericals. It's not like so the mixing of all the capital letter and the small lowercase letters, as well as the mixing of some numbers with the randomly generated numbers with the letter. Right. So next is like it is not a dictionary word, and however it has both the alphabets and the numericals. So it also will be have the different combinations with a mix of all the numbers in some places, wherever needed, and it can also be not easily guessed by an attacker. So these are the few examples of the strong passwords. And coming to the random passwords, the most secured passwords are long with a random string of the characters, and how such passwords are generally most difficult to remember. So whenever you have a random passwords with here some websites will be generating some random passwords which are very difficult for us to remember, and it also difficult for generating those every time we log in, the random password will be generated for us. So it will be the combinations of everything, like the numbers, the alphabets, lowercase, uppercase, as well as some special characters, punctuation marks. Like it's not every time the same password. It will be like a different password at every different login time. Okay, so that will be very difficult for an attacker if he want to guess, or if he want to gain an access to our login credentials, right? So password is stronger if it includes a mix of upper and lowercase letters, numbers and other symbols when allowed for same number of characters. So these are the different types of the passwords which can be kept by an user. So the main general guidelines applicable to the password policies which can be implemented organization wise are as follows. So passwords and the user login identities should be unique to each authorized user. So that means if at all you have 4 accounts, for each account you should have a different password to be kept and different username you have to use, right? Just remember what you have kept for each and every account, right? And then password should consist of minimum of 8 alphanumeric characters. So that means it should be a combination of 8 alphabets as well as numbers of length, minimum 8, maximum whatever the length you want you can just keep. There should be a computer control list of prescribed password rules and the periodic testing to identify any password weaknesses. The websites has include these types of the set of the rules within their website, so that whenever we just going to give a weak password, it has to give a warning message asking us to keep the strong password, and it should also even give us the different combinations of the passwords which we can keep. It has to just suggest what are all the different types of the passwords we can keep for that particular website for a strong password, right? And password should be kept private, that is, it should not be shared with the friends and the colleagues. It should be kept as secret as possible. Even our best friend may have some different mentality, may want to take a revenge so that he can misuse our information. So in such case, what we have to do is, even though our best friend asks for password, we should not enclose it. We should just keep it as private as possible. And password shall be changed every 30 or 45 days or less. So we should keep on changing the password for our accounts for every 30 or the 45 days or less. We should not maintain the same password for all the time. All right, so whenever we think like our account has been opened by some other website or somewhere else, so we just want to recheck so in our mail or in sent mails or the inbox whether there are any anonymous mails available, then we just have to take care of changing the password so that no misuse will be done by the some other people in some other places, right? So next is user accounts should be frozen after 5 failed login attempts. So that means in a website, the website administrator has to take care of that means freezing the particular website for every 5 failed login attempts. So like it has to be checked by the admin whether he is a genuine user or not. If he is not a genuine user, he might have forgotten the password. So that's why the admin has to take care of this, and the session should be suspended after the 15 minutes. That means whenever you are not using the website for that you have kept it as an idle for up to 15 minutes or more, just it has to again ask the login credentials so that it might be like a checking process. So it might be checking whether you are the person who is using the same or the other person has been using. So that can be checked using this particular thing. So that's why session should be suspended after the 15 minutes of inactivity and require the password to be re-entered. All right, successful logins should display the date and the time of the last login and log off. So there should be some in the website, so there should be some information regarding when you have logged on for the last time and when you have logged off for the last time. That has to be mentioned, so that if any activity is like it's like so when you think like suspicious, then you have to just approach the admin and ask him to block that particular account, or you can just go to your login credentials and then you can change the password, right? So login IDs and the password should be suspended after a specified period of non-use. So if you are not using any account for a long period, then that particular account has to be blocked by the admin only. So for a high risk systems, after excess violations, the system should generate an alarm and be able to simulate a continuing sessions for the failed user. So the system has to generate some alarm, so giving an alert to the admin that some suspicious activity has been done. So these are some of the guidelines which we have to follow whenever we want our account has to be secured from the attack, right? So coming to the key loggers, so the key logging is nothing but the keystroke logging, often called as a key logging. So it's the practice of noting the keystrokes on the keyboard, typically in a covert manner, so that the person in a covert manner, that means in a hidden manner. So whenever we type on the keyboard, based upon the keystrokes we type, the keystrokes will be stored somewhere within our particular system. So that might happen in terms of the log files. So this particular thing we call it as a key logging. So here the person using the keyboard is unaware that such actions are being monitored. So this mainly will be done in the cyber caves, where we might be using some keyboard, we might be using some systems that might be having some set of the softwares installed on it, which mainly relates to whatever all the activities we are performing, that will be traced by those softwares and that will be stored in that particular system, right? So this will be one of that particular type of the suspicious software is a keylogger, which will monitor each and every keystroke that will be done by the victim on the system. Coming to the types of the keyloggers, we have the software keylogger and the hardware keylogger. Software keyloggers are nothing but the software programs installed on the computer system, which usually are located between the operating system and the keyboard hardware, and every keystroke is recorded. So here it will store in the form of the software like a log file. So it will just go tracing each and every activity that we will be performing on the system. So the path we traverse on the system, the passwords we give on the system, the type of the keys we type on the particular keyboard, that will be stored in this particular log file using this software keylogger. And example of this software keylogger is SC Keylog Pro. It allows to secretly record the computer user activities such as emails, chat conversations, visited websites, clipboard usage, etc. in the protected log file. So this SSC Keylogger Pro will secretly monitor what are all the activities we perform through the mails, like what are all the charts we perform, what are all the different types of the websites we visited. All these will be noted, recorded in the form of the log file by this SSC Keylog Pro. This is the example of the SC Keylog Pro, which will mainly go through, it will monitor the mouse events, like whenever we move the mouse movement, and mouse scroll, mouse left button press, right button press, that will be traced by this SC Keylogger Pro. And then system events, like what are all the websites we are opening, what are all the different types of the task we are performing on the system, like what is the browser we are opening, what is the website we are opening, what are the folders we are opening, what are the files we have opened, what are the keys we have typed on those particular files, that will be in the system events. And processes, like different types of the system processes that are been working on the particular system, like maybe like antivirus, that is one of the process, and maybe the operating system configurations, maybe relating to our activity which we perform, like if you open any document, if I closed any document, those comes under the processes that will be also be noted by this SC Keylog Pro. And the next one is a keyboard events. What are all the keys that is being pressed by us? So if I pressed any enter key, if I have done any pressed any shift key, caps key, all that will be noted here. And it also notices the web pages, different types of the websites and web pages have been navigated to, and different types of the menus I have opened within that particular website, that also be known with this particular SC Keylog Pro. And next, different types of the passwords have been using in the different types of the accounts have been logged in, that also be noted here. And the clipboards, like if I have any some screenshots I have done, if at all I have done, I have open any types of the clipboards, I have done any painting, any operation have been done, that also be stored here. And then it also uses some direction keys, what direction keys I have used mostly and what control keys I have used mostly, that also be noted. And here the attacker can even check the dates, from which date to which date he want to just trace, he just go to that, and then he goes with that particular date wise logs. And these are the different dates the operations have been performed so far, and these are the where that particular log related information is being stored. That all, this is a best example which shows how the key logging will be done. And next one is a spy agent stealth, which is provides a large variety of essential computer monitoring features, as well as a website and application filtering, chart blocking, and the remote delivery of the logs via email or the FTP. So it's mainly relating to monitoring the computer features. So it just monitors. So as the name indicates, it's a spy agent. So by uncovering itself, so that means in a concealed manner, in a hidden manner, it just observes every activity which we perform, like websites which we have been opening, or the emails we have been using, any some applications we have been opened or we are using on the system, that will be monitored by this. And all-in-one keylogger, which is an invisible, it is an invisible keystrokes recorder and a spy software tool that registers every activity on the PC to encrypted logs, where using some decryption technique, the attacker just go through that particular log and comes to know each and every detail. If we open that particular log, we cannot understand what is being stored within it. So it will be in some encrypted format that cannot be understandable by the victim. So the attacker, what he do is, as he has been install this keylogger on our system, using some decryption techniques, he can come to know, he can decrypt this particular logs and he can read. So this is one example of the keylogger, that is all-in-one keylogger. And some of the examples are the stealth keylogger, perfect keylogger, KGB spy buddy, elite keylogger, cyber spy, powered keylogger. These are the examples of some of the software keylogger. This is an example of the spy agent. So it will go with the mouse and the number of the times you have used the mouse, number of times you have used the keyboard. So this is a count, it shows number of the windows you have viewed. So like it shows the with the count also it shows. So number of the programs you have used within your system, number of the screenshots, so number of the event timeline, so how much time you have gone through the particular process on your system. So from system on to the system shutdown, what are all the processes you have done, it will be stored in terms of the video and the files. So what are all the files you have, what are all the documents you have, the count also will be stored, and the computer usage, so how many minutes you have used the system, so that also will be shown. And it even shows the mic and the webcam, number of times you have on your webcam and the mic, number of times you have used, that also will be shown. And the email activity as well as the website usage, websites you have visited, so internet activities you have performed, the count it shows, and the social and the chat activities you have performed. And even it shows the settings, so what are all the settings you have done so far, and how this particular settings can be altered by the attacker will be done using this particular spy agent keylogger. Right, so this is all-in-one keylogger is an example which mainly shows like general settings, what we have, application settings within the system, and some it even shows some of the commands that are can be used by an attacker. So it even shows a screenshot settings, so it mainly relates to the application related settings so within our system, so that the attacker can just change the configurations of those applications, and he can get a control on our system. Right, he can even check with the log viewer, so support mails, and if he want, he can just even uninstall this particular keylogger from our system. So this is what this particular software keylogger is all about. And coming to the hardware keylogger, this looks like a pen drive which will be installed by an attacker as a physical access to the computer system. So it will be like a physical resource, so just we can feel the touch of it, and then we can, whenever the attacker want, he can just insert, and if he don't want, he can just remove it. This will be mainly as an extension to your keyboard. It will be embedded to the CPU, so that we cannot notice whether the keylogger has been attached to the CPU or not. That cannot be easily traced. So just it stores each and everything in this particular pen drive like body, and you, after the particular activity is done, the attacker will just eject this particular hardware from the system, and he will insert on his system, and just come to know what the activities we have done so far. So hardware keyloggers are the small hardware devices. And next we have the anti-keylogger, which is mainly the against of the keylogger, which is a tool that can detect the keylogger installed on the computer system and also can remove the tool. So why we are moving for the anti-keylogger instead of going through the antivirus and some firewall enabled system? That means, so main advantages of using keyloggers are firewalls cannot detect the installation of the keylogger so on the system. Hence this anti-keylogger can detect installations of the keylogger. This software does not require the regular updates of the signature bases to work effectively, such as other antiviruses and the anti-spy programs, right? So it won't even have to be updated regularly. So it will prevent the internet banking fraud. The passwords can easily be gained with the help of installing the keyloggers. So that's why using this anti-keylogger, it helps us to prevent the internet banking frauds. So it will prevent from the ID theft. That means the user's account username and the password, as the password cannot be easily traced. So as the keystrokes cannot be easily recorded, the passwords cannot be easily traced by an attacker. So it helps us to prevent the ID theft. It secures the email and instant messaging and the chatting. So that means so whatever the email operations we perform, like messaging, chatting, these activities can also be securely done, will be done in a protected manner if we install the anti-keylogger on our system, right? So this is all about the password cracking and key logging. Thank you.